Most people go through life without ever discovering why they were here. I almost did it too. Going through life and motions without purpose, busyness and productivity, and achieving without really having meaning, and suppressing a version of myself that deserves to be given an opportunity to be expressed, but never really given permission to be unleashed. And I know that you know what I'm talking about because I've talked to and coached so many people that I know that a majority of us are living a life that is tamed, domesticated, a life that we have just embraced as this is just the way it is. In 1996, I started having conversations with my late father about my life. And those conversations led to me asking some existential questions. Now, you have to understand, my parents grew up in Africa. That's where I grew up. And they had a tough upbringing, and all they wanted was to give their kids the best life that they could. And so I went to a great government school. My brother and my sister ended up going to a private school. My parents worked very hard to give us those opportunities. But there was this general understanding in our home that yes, education did not guarantee success, but it certainly gave you opportunity. It gave you many shots at success if you were willing to work hard at it. And so my father had dreams for me. He wanted me to be an engineer. He wanted me to be an architect. And so everything was being directed towards that, because if you had a career as an engineer, you would make a living and you would be set for life. But 1996 started this journey for me that really took off in 1998, a couple of years later after I had completed high school. And these conversations I was having with my dad led to conversations about my own purpose. Why am I here? Where am I going? How do I get there? And to be honest with you, those questions, the more I asked them, just became more frustrating, until a friend of mine put a book in my hands that literally changed my life. And the title of the book is In Pursuit of Purpose by Dr. Miles Monroe. He's passed. I think he died in 2014 or so. And in that book, he defines purpose as the original intent in the creator's mind for the creation of a thing. In other words, a creator of anything, the camera or the phone you're watching me on or the television you're watching me on, somebody didn't just create it and go like, what is this going to do? They were more like, I want something that would do this, therefore I will create it. So purpose precedes production. And so I started reading these principles. And yes, he came from a Christian perspective, but his principles were universal. But it was also frustrating because I couldn't talk to my creator. I couldn't have a face-to-face with God and go like, okay, so what were you thinking when you created me? And I spent a better part of the year just frustrated with the fact that I had all these questions and no answers. Until I read actually Dr. Miles Monroe's other book, Understanding Potential. And in that book, he said that whatever your purpose is, you have been wired for it. And your potential is a big clue as to why you are here. And so I discovered something. Purpose was not out there. Purpose was in me. It was right in here. And I needed to study myself. I needed to rediscover who I was for me to really discover purpose. And so I started having these self-discovery conversations, reflections, and meditations, just looking at my own life. What was I interested in? What lit me up? What were my passions? What were my natural giftings and abilities? What were things that were consistently happening or things I was consistently gravitating to? And the more I did that, the more I began to realize my potential, or at least discover my potential. And one of the things I discovered during these times of self-reflection was that since I was in nursery school, for whatever reason, I would be the guy who would volunteer to lead. The teacher would be like, does anybody want to do this? I would raise my hand. And for whatever reason, my peers would go like, we're going with Campbell. We're going to follow him. And of course, that gave me confidence that my peers had trusted me. But that was pointing to something that was hardwired in me, and that was just leadership, which just came naturally to me. Here is my point. A lot of us are living a tamed life, a caged life, a domesticated life. There's a reason I named this channel The Untamed Man, right? There is a version of you that has never been given permission to be fully expressed. Because like one of my other distant mentors, Erwin McManus says, sometimes the limitations we are willing to accept create boundaries for our existence. In other words, certain people or experiences in life tell you, this is how far you go. You cannot cross this line. You cannot live the life of your dreams. That is a pipe dream. And you accept that. This is my lot in life. This is what I was meant to do. And therefore, you never get out of the cage. You never live the untamed life. And I want to challenge you to begin rediscovering yourself. So I don't want you to scroll to the next video and just keep on watching the next thing and learning upon learning. I want you to stop. Take 5 to 7 minutes today and just begin to reflect on who you are. Begin to rediscover yourself. Transport yourself back into your childhood. What are those things that used to light you up? What are those things that gave you energy and excitement? What are those things that you have just shelved and said, I'm now an adult? Those were just childish dreams. I want you to give yourself permission to go there, to begin to rediscover yourself. And listen, sometimes we hide behind responsibilities. And this is what I mean. Campbell, I really cannot pursue my dream because I got kids. I got mouths to feed. That is legitimate. It is your responsibility. And yes, you should always do it. But you also have to be honest with yourself, brutally honest with yourself. Are you using those responsibilities as an excuse to not pursue your dreams? I know of a friend of ours who, I don't want to say in her old age, but at a point when her kids had actually graduated high school, she decided to go back to school to pursue a bachelor's degree and now a master's degree after her kids were grown. So at that point, she just made a decision. Okay, the excuse I may have had of I need my kids to grow up is gone. Now I need to be real with myself and pursue my dream. I want you to do that for yourself. You owe it to you to unleash that life that you have kept domesticated. So pause this video, 5 to 7 minutes, have these conversations with yourself. If you need my help, just put it in the comment section and we can have a conversation back and forth. But if you got questions, I really want to help you to live the life that you were created to live on purpose, to live that intention in the Creator's mind for your creation. Have a good one.